Okay, friends, I'm making the pizza dough that I like. Just like the marinara, everyone has their own favorites, and I don't discount those methods. I just want to show you the one that I like. So, no arguments, please. So what we're going to do, we have... Oh, I wanted to mention that I've doubled this recipe because one of these makes 4 medium-sized pizzas about this size, a foot in diameter, 12 inches. And since I'm making all this, I figured I'll freeze the leftover dough balls that I'm not using, because I'll only use one probably. And then I'll let them come to room temperature for 2 hours. If I want to have a pizza party, if there are guests, then all this will be ready for me in the freezer, ready to defrost. So, but I'll probably try to make some pizzas tonight. So I have 1.5 cups warm water. That's around 110 degrees. That's for the yeast. I have 1/2 cup of room temperature, actually slightly warmer than room temperature. I microwaved it for 30 seconds. White wine, dry white wine. This is a Verdejo from Spain, something I would drink. And I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm hoping my mixer can handle all this. 1, 2. And since the tablespoon is oiled already, it will be easy to add the honey. And I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of dark honey. It should come out really easy. There it goes. Nothing left. The second one might come out less easily. There's no reason to use dark honey. It's just that I happen to have it on hand. There we go. Nothing left. Then we would like to whisk this up a little. Well, it doesn't have to be whisked, just stirred. To combine, we want the honey to be mixed with the water and the wine before we put in the yeast for proofing or proving. And 2 packets, which is 1.5, each packet is about 1.5 ounces. So we're going to look for my scissors, probably. Well, maybe not. Let's see if I can. Oh, yeah, I can do it. One and a half ounces per package. If you were using, like I said, I'm doubling the recipe. Ordinarily, you would just use 1. I'm hoping that this bowl of the mixer is big enough for all of this. Okay. You don't really have to stir it that much. You just want to wait for 5 minutes or 3 to get the foam to appear. Okay, folks, I'm back. So I have a few things to tell you. It's actually taken quite a bit longer than 5 minutes, maybe 7 or 8 to get fluffiness. That's because there's oil and wine in there. I wanted to mention that the wine is used in this case to help get a crispy crust. It also diminishes the capacity for gluten to form. But the other thing we didn't do, and there I just jiggled the camera, is I didn't add the 2 teaspoons of kosher salt because I didn't want to retard the growth of the yeast. And now's the time to put it in. Don't forget it. You cannot have tasty crust without salt. And this is I'm using the mixer just because I have one. It's not what a purist would do. You would roll it out for 5 minutes, knead it yourself. I'm doubling the recipe. So, okay, so I'm using all-purpose flour for this. And the reason is because I'm doing a traditional pizza that will have puffed up crust on the outside. And I like how irregular it is. Kind of lumpy, kind of torched looking. If you use 100% 00 farina, which is used in most pizza parlors and is absolutely required for making pasta, handmade pasta, it'll be very smooth, it'll be really nice, but I'm making rustic pizza. So what I'm going to do is do 5 cups of all-purpose and 1 cup of 00. And I'll be adding them slowly, but the first 2 cups I think I can add right into the bowl to get it started. 1, just count with me. 2, because I don't want to lose track. That's 2. Okay, so I need to do 3, 4, 5, counting out loud for my own memory, mnemonic. And I gotta plug the darn thing in. I think I've made breads. I've made up to 9 cups of flour. I've made 4 loaves in this before, but I do have a professional machine I could have brought out, but I was just guessing that this will work. Okay, so now I have to do 3. I'll do 4 and 5, but I want to get this mixing. I also should mention that you can use, if you are making very flat, thin crust pizzas, I would do the same thing, but I would omit the wine, and I would use hard flour, which is bread flour, so that you actually do form the gluten, because you're going to be rolling the pizzas out really thin to make a thin crust pizza, and that's where you really want the gluten. So now I need to do 4 and 5, right? I kind of lost track, but I'm glad I said it out loud because it helps. Okay, 4 and 5. Obviously, I've been baking, and then this whole thing needs to be refilled. Okay, so yeah, you can always add more later. Okay, so that's that, and then I'll do 1 cup of 00. By the way, 00 is just the count of the. It's a long-standing way of measuring the fineness of the grind of the wheat, and it's the finest you can get, and that's why it's essential for making pasta. It is not essential for making pizza dough, but it's sold that way in markets as pizza dough flour. I like mine to be rustic, and I'm just gonna put it in here. You can see this thing is making noises and popping up. That's because it's building some mass, and I'm going to keep at this. I may add a little water if it appears too tough. It starts out shaggy, and that's normal. I'll get back to you when it's smooth. And this is going to take around 5 minutes using the dough hook on the mixer. All right, so that didn't take very long. It just took the arm work out of it, and it's gonna come off this hook, super easy because it's all combined. You know it's good when it comes off the hook like that. Put that somewhere. Okay, and it's pretty smooth. And you can see that it's not shaggy and there's no flour or anything left in the bowl. That means it came together, obviously. Just want to mention that I put 2 tablespoons. It was looking pretty shaggy and it wasn't coming together after a minute of dough hooking it. And so I put 3 tablespoons of warm water in from the tap, just one at a time till I could see that it wanted to take up the excess flour on the bottom. Breads are like that. You can add more flour, add more water, just to get it to take up from the bowl and come together. That's kind of normal given that our humidity in the atmosphere is different times of year, different temperatures. So I'm just gonna do a little hand roll here so that it becomes nice and smooth. And that's hand kneading, you know. Don't use too much flour, please. Just telling myself that. Okay, one more. Push, rotate, push and turn. Come together, rotate, push and turn. It's behaving perfectly. So, don't have to do much of that at the moment, but it is now time to put it in a well-oiled bowl. This has been oiled with gorgeous aromatic olive oil. I'm gonna throw the bottom in there. Well, that's the top really. And then turn it over, put plastic wrap, and it should rise here for 45 minutes, possibly an hour. It needs to double. It should come up to the top of the bowl. And my handy classic machine was able to handle 6 cups of flour, no problem. Okay, my lovelies, so as you can see, my dough has doubled in bulk. It's time to punch it down. It took more than 45 minutes because it's winter and the window was open in the kitchen and I didn't realize it. So I left it in for an hour. I left it rise for an hour. Now we can punch it down. Look at the look at the air. Okay, and it deflates. Voila. And you can see the oil still on the bottom. That's very lovely. That one flavor will infuse. And don't have to do much to it. It's already deflated. But remember, the original recipe was for 4 pizzas. And we have dough for 8. So I'm gonna cut it in half. Cut it in half again. And then we're gonna cut each of these again. Voila, voila. And then we're going to form them into balls by doing the stretching method. See all the air inside? Don't squish that out. Just squeeze at the bottom. They're gonna rise again. And I want to, where is it? Weirdly I put that on olive oil right in my sight for this. And I guess I put it away. Okay, so this is a small tray. It should be enough tonight I'm only making 2 pizzas, 2 entirely different ones. So I'm just gonna pat that down and put it on the oil tray. but I'm going to show you how you would do it for if you had all 8 balls. These need to rise. They don't have to rise much. In fact, you could make pizza right now, but it's nice to let it rest. So it's not really rising, it's resting. And some are bigger than others. You know, this isn't a contest for perfection. It's just, I mean, our pizzas are gonna be lovely and imperfect. Imperfect is how I like them the best, because they remind me of a wood-fired pizza. Put them all out there. There's oil here, that's great. This was a small one, that's okay. Nobody's complaining. And I would cover that all with plastic wrap for 15 minutes to rest. Rising isn't important at this point because of the way they're going to be cooked. But I'm just showing you how it would be done. And I'm also going to show you what I'm doing with them. I'm going to put each one in an individual freezer bag. And then I'm going to put each of those in the bag into an airtight container and freeze them. They will have time to rest when they're thawed. So that's what I'm doing with those. With every one that I'm not using, which is probably, I'm gonna say these 3. And the plastic wrap will go over the 2 I'm using. Oh, I'll use these 2. And these will go in bags. In the meantime, I have my oven up to 350, which isn't the correct temperature. It's just getting there. And we're gonna use my baking steel, and we're going to eventually heat that up for an hour, 45 minutes at the highest temperature your oven will go, and mine goes to 25 Fahrenheit. Unlike a bread stone, it doesn't really take an hour to heat up. But at that point, I will be opening the windows, turning on all the fans, because my heat detectors are really good at detecting heat, and they like to freak everyone out. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to plastic wrap these 2 for 15 minutes or so before making pizzas. Oh, and I'm going to bag these and put these in nice containers, squishing the bottom together just because it's a habit and I like it that way. So we're going to continue bagging, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, I just want to finish off the segment with showing you how I froze the individual portions of pizza dough for future use. They will take about 2 hours to thaw, and then you'll want to let them come to room temperature for another 15 or 20 minutes. Longer than that, 30 minutes is fine also, because they need to come to fully to room temperature before they can be rolled out, formed out, I should say, and baked. That's how I do pizza dough.